National Security Advisor to Vice President Mike Pence, Jennifer Williams, testified before impeachment investigators today and shared details about what she experienced while she was on the call between Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Now, she explains it in the next clip. Let's take a quick look.
On July 25th, along with several of my colleagues, I listened to a call between President Trump and President Zelensky, the content of which has since been publicly reported. Prior to July 25th, I had participated in roughly a dozen other presidential phone calls. During my closed-door deposition, members of the committee asked about my personal views and whether I had any concerns about the July 25th call. As I testified then, I found the July 25th phone call unusual because, in contrast to other presidential calls I had observed, it involved discussion of what appeared to be a domestic political matter.
So she's very clear in saying, like, look, this is an unusual exchange between Trump and Zelensky. I've been on other calls before, but I've never heard these very personal political requests, which is what Trump clearly asked for when he demanded the investigation into the Bidens and into CrowdStrike.
Yeah, and it's yet another person that, although she is an aide to Pence on an important issue that they say they care a lot about, national security, she'll be declared on Laura Ingraham's show a never Trumper or something.
Of course, they're all, I mean, any single person who has decided to comply with the congressional subpoena and testify has been labeled a never Trumper. Every single one.
Yeah, we used a clip on the damage report earlier today. It was Steve Doocy. I forget who he was declaring. It might have been Bill Taylor. It might have been Vindman. I'm not sure, but just saying he's been called a never Trumper, and then he just moves on. He doesn't
I know. They just regurgitate it.
There's no evidence of that, and
they're working in Trump's administration. You can't be a never Trumper. Let's say you're already working for the executive branch in some capacity, and then there's an exchange of power, right? From Obama to Trump. A never Trumper would say, I'm not interested in this situation. I'm gonna go ahead and leave. None of them did that. In fact, Williams has been working for the State Department since the Bush administration. And in the beginning of her opening statement, she said that her hero, her personal hero, is Condoleezza Rice. So we're not talking about, progressives who are trying to launch some sort of like resistance against Donald Trump. No, these are people who identify as like staunch conservatives who we typically disagree with, but I do give them credit in coming forward and sharing what they experienced and the fact that they're willing to tell the truth.
And it's surprising that so many have, honestly.
Right.
I mean, unless there were 100 people on the phone call, it seems like a strikingly large percentage are willing to come forward and confirm that they had an issue with what was said.
So she says something during her opening statement that seems to clear Pence of some wrongdoing. And I think it's important to be fair and show you that portion of her opening statement. Let's take a look.
On August 29th, I learned that the vice president would be traveling to Poland to meet with President Zelensky on September 1st. At the September 1st meeting, which I attended, President Zelensky asked the vice president about news articles reporting a hold on US security assistance for Ukraine. The vice president responded that Ukraine had the United States' unwavering support and promised to relay their conversation to President Trump that night. During the September 1st meeting, neither the vice president nor President Zelensky mentioned the specific investigations discussed during the July 25th phone call.
So it seems like Pence was unaware of what was really going on in that case, based on what she's saying. But I will also mention that Pence had no problem throwing her under the bus when Donald Trump began attacking her over the weekend upon news that she was going to testify. And
I actually didn't see that. Do you remember exactly what he said?
On Twitter, he just went after her on Twitter with one of his typical stupid lunatic tweets. But Pence, in response to that, had his office send out a statement that just distanced himself from Williams, which is gross.
Yeah, and kind of a waste of time because at some point Pence is going to say one bad thing about Trump and be declared a never Trumper anyway.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. One final thing I wanted to mention about Williams, she shed light on one more mystery related to why Pence abruptly canceled his planned trip to Ukraine to attend Zelensky's inaugural. Williams told lawmakers that an assistant to the vice president's chief of staff, Mark Short, told her in mid-May that Trump had asked Pence to stay home. So he was supposed to go to the inauguration, and Trump apparently told him, no, you're not going to the inauguration.
And so I guess we would have to speculate that the reason would be that having him show up would be a small version of having a meeting at the White House, and they wanted to hold as much of their leverage as possible until they got what they wanted.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Pence showing up to the inauguration is a symbolic gesture, right? And it actually means a lot to this new president of Ukraine. And so Pence refusing to show up, or more importantly, Trump demanding that Pence avoid showing up, means something.
Yeah.
And so the question is, why did did Trump use that as leverage? Was there another purpose? Was there something else that Pence was doing? There was a line of questioning by a Republican lawmaker where Williams said that Pence attended some other meeting, some other gathering of world leaders pertaining to trade. So, we're finding all these little details, but I think the most important part of this is that the topic of this investigation and the demand for the investigation keeps coming up. And Gordon Sondland, who was just a businessman who did hotel stuff until he decided to donate $1 million to Trump, he's the one who keeps coming up again, and he should have probably just stuck to the hotel business instead of wanting to be part of Trump's administration, because now he's in some trouble.
Is there a single rational, intellectually honest person left in this country who does not believe that Donald Trump clearly wanted Zelensky to give him something that would benefit himself politically and use the threat of withholding aid, and in fact withheld it to get it? That's the simplest, obvious truth.
Yeah.
And there are people who won't admit that. They're broadcasting on Fox right now. They're saying that today's hearing was just a bunch of people talking about their feelings, which I'm assuming was either making fun of Vindman's thing about his dad or just a misogynistic attack against Williams. I'm not sure at this point, but it's not like they're waiting to have like some really shiny fact that gets them to finally admit, oh yeah, no, he was clearly doing it for his own benefit.
Well, look, I think that there were some enlightening moments, and there have been new revelations as a result of the public hearings. And I think Volker changing some of his private testimony during his public testimony is one example of that. And so I think that these public hearings are important, especially if you look at the polling and you see how much the polling has shown an increase of Americans who find Donald Trump's behavior an issue. And now a slim majority of Americans actually think that he should not only be impeached, he should be removed.
Yeah, and only 1 in 4 actually think that he didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Those people are lost cause.
That's exactly right, and those people are part of Trump's base. So we're not having a conversation about them. We're having a conversation with people who are open-minded, who want to hear the facts and make a decision after these hearings.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.